Uh,
Hey Tommy, how's it going?
just fine. How are you, Matt?
I'm fantastic. Listen, I wanted to thank you obviously for giving up some time and letting me, you know, talk to you a little bit about business. You are a really strange human being. Just
Thank
not
you.
necessary exactly, which is not necessarily the best introduction, but it is because you are somebody who is completely afraid. That's not the right way to say it. You were very tentative at the beginning of our relationship and in working together. I asked you a question early on where I said, "Hey, you know what? Do you want to be famous?" I asked you the question, and you were like, "I don't want to be famous, but I want my brand to be known, I want my company to be known, but I don't really want to be in the spotlight." And I remember saying,
Doesn't
"If we
work
do
for
think,
me.
yeah, if yeah, exactly, if we do things properly." So I want to say thanks because you've become known in your community, and but I wanted to ask you a couple questions. How long have you been? Tell us what business you're in, kind of how you started, how long you've been in business, and then we'll go on after that and we'll talk about some of the decisions you've had to make in the last couple of years.
Yeah. So, heating and air conditioning. I've been doing this for about 35 years now. In college, I worked for a company doing this. And then once I got a business degree, it's like, what kind of business do you want to start? And so this was a natural lead in. I had enough time to get my own license. And so I started doing this, and initially just me and my wife, and then an employee or two or three. Worked up to one point where I had a general manager, but brought them on a little too soon, relinquished too much control too early. But we never really did any marketing or advertising for all those years. And looking back now, I'm thinking, well, that was foolish.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. And then at one point you got big enough though from my memory that you were able to sell the company.
hmm Our initial company, yep. And then we
Perfect.
kind of took a couple years off and then restarted as Tiger Heating and Air. And anyway, the last couple years, since I've known you, we decided, well, we got to do something to grow a little bit. And I had seen Ryan shoot at a big marketing slash AC contractor event, and he intrigued my interest. And you guys came down, and here we are.
Awesome. So you've been in the HVAC business for quite a while, many moons. When we met, I remember you being my first impressions were you're this gentle giant is how I could was the best description I have. You physically take care of yourself. You like to work out. You've got a way you like to live your life, and you're a big guy, but you've a soft spoken nature, and you really care about everybody around you, and you really took care of your surroundings. But let me ask you a question about so when you were intrigued by Ryan and what he was talking about, what was the thing where were you in business? Like what was happening in your business that made you go, oh man, I got to do something different.
Well, looking at an exit down the road, I realized that probably need to grow a little bit and had never done any real marketing or advertising. What struck me with Ryan was because there were several other marketers at that event, marketing agencies, marketing teams. What struck me with Ryan was his emotional connection to the audience and the way he spoke, but to me specifically. And that is kind of my stock in trade, I think, with my clients over the years and my sales, if you will, turning somebody into a client, is treating somebody like they're my best friend if they're my age, or if they're my mom or dad's age, like my parents, or, establishing emotional connection with people. So it really rang true with me. And so it was a no brainer for me to have you guys down. And since that meshed so closely with my personality.
Right. And how were sales? Like were you flat? Were you growing? Were you declining?
Pretty flat, I would say, maybe growing a little bit just from word of mouth and doing a good job, but nothing tremendous, nothing that, hey, if I want to retire in 5 years, this would be something I could do, you know?
Right. Right. So you met Ryan, you guys obviously had a conversation, you decided that you were going to do business with the Wizard of Ads, and you invited it. Well, we told you part of the process is we had to spend a day with you at your, within your business and get to know you a lot, eat a couple of meals, right?
Hmm.
What was your expectation of hiring a marketing company?
Well,
If
that's,
you can remember. I mean, like you may
yeah.
not now because there's lots of transpired since then, but what do you think was like, what was your goal? What did you think was going to happen?
Well, I was intrigued because I remember you had said, we're going to come down and we're going to do this uncovery, I think is what you called it. I'm like, oh, well, that kind of hooked me a little bit because I've never been uncovered. Discovered, I was thinking, is it discovered the right word? But it ended up being uncovery was a good description of what happened. So I didn't really know what to expect. I figured, what kind of ads you want to run, and that sort of thing. But, you guys spent most of your time, like I spend most of my time with my clients, figuring out who they are. So you figured out who I was. And, well, shoot, you guys had made it 2 hours back and you had this great idea.
Yeah, that's funny. And unfortunately, here's the thing, like we don't normally get ideas that quickly. We do a lot of processing of data. Yeah, we call it an uncovery specifically because what we try to do is we try to help you and us specifically uncover who you are and would you like to be known for. And so, like I said, when I first met you, you had this very calm demeanor, yet you were very, fit stature. You were very big stature. And you guys were called Tiger Air or
Yeah. Tiger Heating and Air.
Tiger Heating and Air. See, I totally blown that out of my mind.
Good for you. Me too.
And right, it's almost hard to look back, right? But what we found out was your dad's name is Tom. Everybody called him Tom. Your name is Thomas. And at the point, everybody, nobody called you anything else. Thomas was your name. And now your company name is Tommy Cool.
Hmm.
I mean, I think it's fair to let everybody know that, you're in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Great
and
city.
Corpus Christi, Texas is hot,
Yes, it is.
and your cool, time of year isn't really cool. It's just, it can be,
Yeah. For a
but
day or two.
right. So you're not really a heating tech. Yes, you know what you're doing there. Yes, you guys could do that job, but really you're just making sure you're just making sure that everybody's air conditioning is working and everybody's staying cool. And so yeah, it was really easy for us to say, well, listen, you know what? It's nice that you've got this Thomas lineage, right? Tom and Thomas, and we wanted that to bring that out. And so we came up with, out of a 2-hour conversation, like you said, we were 3 hours total. And the first couple hours are like, man, I hate asking companies to spend a lot of money and rebrand. It's not our goal. We typically can find something that really resonates, but your demeanor, your personality wasn't this big, strong tiger personality. The company doesn't behave like this. We come in and tear it out and like
Yeah.
it didn't suit you.
And that
And
was our
so
logo, right? The muscled up tiger with bare
it was a
teeth.
muscled up tiger. Yeah. And okay, so when we told you and we gave you this, what did you think about? Like when we said, hey, listen, we'd really like you to rebrand and we've got a whole play there. What was going through your mind?
You mean when you called me on the road and said, are you ready or sitting down? You want to hear this? And then you said, I'm like, yes. And I was on pins and needles and you're like, okay, let me cool. And I just thought, well, of course, you know what you were doing. You were playing into my ego, number one. So how could I hate that? But I loved it immediately. It
Yeah, you
rang
are.
true to me on so many levels. So
Yeah. And again, and when we did it, we didn't just give you the brand. We kind of gave you a little bit of what the strategy of what that brand means and how would we then turn that into a story. And I mean, I made a mistake at the beginning of it. And it wasn't even that I made a mistake, was I had a voice in my mind of how I'd love to portray you. And we decided to use radio in your area as the first media that we were going to broadcast your message to or through. Unfortunately made a little mistake where I had this voice, but it was kind of, if anybody who's listening remembers WKRP in Cincinnati, there was an overnight DJ named Venus Flytrap, African American, super suave, super cool. So the idea of playing off Tommy Cool and having this really cool voice, kind of speaking to the world. And then we were going through the brand change, and when we developed the new logo, which it's the new logo there, it's obviously a middle-aged white man from Texas. I mean, like, just like, it's like, if nobody's met Thomas before, this is what we ended up coming up with, and I had to shift, and we found a really interesting way to do that. And the challenge was trying to come up with a voice that was still really super cool, but was a super cool Texan. And I landed on Matthew McConaughey as just the inspiration for how you would talk and how you would portray. And, I think back to I think it's his Buick ads, Buick ads, and the way he delivered himself there. That's kind of what was based on, but then it took on its own life. What was your first impression of what we were going to do on the radio when you've got that first script? And I won't do it now, but maybe at the end, I'll even throw an ad or two up and just have it available for people to hear. But what was your impression of that?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that very first one. Oh, are you talking about before we went out with the mystery ad,
Well, the first one was the first one was a
the
was
teaser?
a mystery ad. It was kind of, we were going between Tommy Cool, we were going from Ty to Tommy, and so for a month we ran an ad who was just Tommy Cool talking to Corpus Christi, but there was no mention of what you did for a living.
Yeah, that drove some folks crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. The radio station definitely chimed in on that one. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So, but the ad after that, I'm trying to think what we said there when we introduced myself as Tommy Cool Heating and Air Company. I thought it just had a really cool vibe.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. What did your wife think of all of this? Your partner in crime.
yeah, I'm at the house. I better close the door.
He's actually gonna close the door. My God.
Okay. Only because I hear her fumbling around out there. So I know she was not on board. She thought it was the
No.
most.
But I think it's a valid reason why not. Like, why? What was the thought process going there? Was because there's a, and I want to give it away because I don't want. And this is not me criticizing your wife. Your wife is built to protect you. That's her job. Her job is to make sure you don't do something, like
Stupid.
you're gonna do what? Yeah, like
Run the company off
most
the
men.
cliff.
We're men. We make mistakes. We're stupid. Like, we do
Yeah.
stupid things because we just think it's cool in the moment, right? But your wife definitely wanted to protect you, but she thought it was too much of an ego play because we were playing into who you are, which unfortunately is the only way to do this. Now you've come to see, I think,
Yeah, for sure.
right? And it was a long while that she didn't understand what was going on.
Well, yeah, she certainly, I think maybe her biggest thing is, hey, I don't think I've ever been too big for my britches. I think I'm a pretty humble guy.
You very much so, which is why this works so well.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever in my life acted like I'm all that. But I think her fear initially was that that's all this was going to be, and I was going to get some big head, and I was going to bankrupt the company, and we're going to lose all our existing clients, and this would be embarrassing, and that logo looks too much like you, which I'm like, no, this doesn't look anything at all like me. Of course, it does kind of.
I mean, it's modeled after you, yeah.
But I was downplaying everything. So yeah, it was pretty. In fact, she said, even Scarlett, who was 12 at the time, could design something better than this. Show him,
Oh, I remember
Scarlett,
that.
show him. So Scarlett, who's the only one in the family with any kind of artistic ability, really did a good job designing, a logo. And her name of her company was Tiger Cool.
Right, that's right, I remember.
And she loved cats, so there was a cat on there. And she did a great job, but I'm not sure to hit the market quite the same.
Well, okay, so and then And then we get headlong in. We're like 3-4 months into the ad campaign, 5 months, probably getting closer to Christmas. And I remember you telling me the story of your wife teasing you a little bit because you had gone out to an outdoor restaurant. The wait staff recognized you, and they obviously didn't recognize you. You're on radio. So they only hear the voice. The voice is not you. If we're like to let the cat out of the bag, it's a voice actor. His name is Evan Chance, but he's a Texan. You're a Texan. The accent is not crazy far off. I think it's funny. You told me one time somebody asked you if it was your voice on the radio, and you said no, but I do a really good impersonation of it. I thought that was hilarious. But somebody approached you and said, "Oh my God, you're Tommy Cool. Like, are you the Tommy Cool?" Because they had recognized the ads, they saw your shirt, and I think that was kind of the beginning of your wife kind of noticing, hey, wait a second, that's an interesting, I don't think that she was on board, but I think she started finding it to be interesting. And I think, tell me how it's been for you. I know I don't want to focus on your wife necessarily, but how's it been for you going from, the guy who shows up to do the quote to, holy crap, Tommy Cool's in my house? Because that's happened.
Oh yeah.
Right?
No, it's fantastic. um, you know, my wife, when that first happened, she was like, okay, that's a one-off. Since then, we've gone out and people have asked for an autograph, picture at the restaurant. We give away the glasses. That's a common thing. Now it's so pervasive, as I was telling you today, when I went and picked up some of this memorial service brochure from my dad, the lady there asked, the voice on the radio, is that you or is that your dad? Because he just passed, right? I said, that's me. And she says, okay, because I knew I recognized your voice, which isn't true because it's not my voice. But, that's what the biggest thing I've realized is, now can't remember the last time I walked up to a door and met a stranger or opened a door for somebody coming in stripes. Somebody sees a shirt and click, they know it's Tommy Cool. So just walking into a house, it's like I already have a relationship with people. And, some people are trying to look for the missing finger, but for one reason or another, they feel they already know me. So we just have this rapport, like we're already friends, although we haven't even met. So
Right.
that's what tells me this is really working.
We lean into, when we build up fame, we lean into this thing called parasocial relationships. It's why a lot of people believe they know Kim Kardashian, even though they've never met the human, right? People, when they now meet you, they've followed your story. They've heard your story long enough now that they're like, hey, well, that's Tommy Cool. He's the guy that keeps us cool. He's the guy that lost the finger to a rattlesnake bite. He's the guy that, his dad used to make sure he was a good boy and, did all the things right when he was going to school. I mean, like we take the stories of your life and we relate them back to why that makes you behave the way you do in business and why you want to take care of people the way you do and that sort of thing. So no, that's brilliant. And then what did you think about when we first started presenting ads and none of the ads actually talked about air conditioning and heating?
Well, again, that was the different approach that really, as a team, you guys sold me on to begin with, Ryan initially. Every other marketing company I heard that day was what I expected to hear, like the numbers and what you do, what you sell, all the things that I hear from every other, and there's maybe one or two guys who are sort of doing every once in a while, you hear a radio campaign from another company. And when I hear it, I don't laugh or think poorly of them, but I think you're trying to sell me something. You're not cultivating a relationship, which I think is the beauty of what we have done and why when I meet a stranger who I've never met before, it's like we're not strangers. It's like they know me. I just need to get to know them because we're developing a relationship over this past year or so with the community. And it's a beautiful thing.
Right. So you meet Ryan, you meet Crazy Matthew with all these weird things that he writes down. We start this campaign, we get headlong into it, and you start to see some growth.
Mm-hmm.
You started at flat, now you see some growth. Do you mind do you, like, again, I don't know the number yet. We're kind of getting to the end of our first year. We're at the end of the first year. This is our 12th month we're in right now. And so what would you do you know the number? Do you know what your percentage of growth is year over year?
I think we'll probably be around 25 to maybe we hit 30% growth this year.
Okay, 25 to 30%.
Typically 5 to 10, flat for many years. The past 3 or 4 since I've started this up again and maybe doing things a little bit smarter and networking a little bit more, you know, we've seen some, I'd say 8 to 10% on average growth year over year. Nothing crazy. The thing is, no loyal repeat clients or customer base, or no affirmation on the daily from not just me to the office to the guys that we're engendering some loyalty with people in the community. I mean, they know us. We've even had people who hate the commercial, hearing it all the day. And Evan's got a great voice, a very memorable voice. Some people it just rubs the wrong way, and maybe it's the message, but as you said, love us or hate us, who are they going to call? We had guys, $23,000 sale, and he said, hey, tell your boss. And I guess the commercials aren't so bad now because I really like you guys, but just hated hearing the commercial. But when my AC broke, I'm like, who am I going to call? And the first one I thought of was Tommy Cool. And I called you, and he was pleased. We made him happy. We sold him a system.
Okay, wait a second. So you made a $23,000 purchase or sale off of a client
who hated the radio
hated
ad.
the ads, but you were the first person they thought of.
Yeah. So
okay, what was that like? Let me ask you another question, because early on in most campaigns that a Wizard of Ad partner would take on, early on, we get more hate complaints, not I don't want to say hate, but complaints on the ads than a more mature ad. So like a campaign that gets into year 2, year 3, year 5, we're not hearing as many complaints. You've now become part of the community. Growth is happening usually in a significant way. Being up 25 points, let's not even go the high end, 25 points on the low end, where in an industry right now that if you ask industry people, more companies are flat or declining in this climate right now. What is to me, it's just a strange place to be. It's the feeling of growth is crazy when we hear that most companies in home services are flat, maybe marginal growth or declining.
Yeah, and I would say
what
this
was your
too
expectation?
This too is I don't want to say organic growth, but we didn't get this by buying another company. That's one way you could double.
Oh, heck yeah, absolutely.
You could just buy some other business. We're not doing that, or buy another business. It's been good. Forever, I don't think our customers really know us because we weren't marketing or advertising ourselves. Certainly they didn't know me. I can remember, because it wasn't that long ago, rolling in on a sales call and having to spend all this time, telling stories about myself, listening to them, digging for, and now people are just open, and we have this relationship going in, even though they're complete strangers. And that's not just selling somebody an AC at a restaurant, at a gas station. Somebody across the counter who's selling me something is like bringing something up. And so I've gotten used to just on the fly treating somebody like they're a friend, although I've never met them before. And I think that speaks well to the future. I think my wife is fully on board now because she's seen the same thing over and over again. And she doesn't see me acting like, yeah, no. It's her hot.
My favorite, wait a second. My favorite thing is you just tried to act cocky and you couldn't do that even. Like, it's just not in your nature. It's so funny.
No, it's more humbling than anything else to see the trust and, dare I say, devotion of the community to Tommy Cool and the things they have to say. By the way, initially in the first 3 or 4 months, we got a ton of negative feedback. Not a ton, but 15% maybe overall negative feedback, negative comments on Reddit, on Facebook about hating the ads. I can't remember the last time that happened. It's been months and months and months. So even the people, I think, who had said they hate it, maybe they just pick a different radio station now. Maybe I've driven them to a competitive radio station.
In your market, they can't.
Yeah,
The strange part is we were able to, the budget you gave us, we were able to actually own 50% listenership in your market. So it's really hard to escape a Tommy Cool ad in your neighborhood.
yeah, and I'm hoping people don't want to now, but even that kind of hurt a little bit, to be honest, when somebody had something negative say. I'm like, why would you say that? I don't remember some of the negative things, but you look past that and people are going to be people. And it helps when you have people who claim to not like the commercial calling you for service, but the overwhelming positivity, guys love it. I can't imagine one of my guys wanted to quit and go to work for, staying in a van or chucking a truck or Joe's Heat 'em and cheat 'em, because you're going to lose. You're going to lose. It's good for their self-image, and with the glasses campaign, people still always pull us over. They're at a gas station. Hey, you got some glasses? I was in Lowe's day before yesterday and picking up some stuff. And the lady, Lowe's is gone, and our Lowe's, you completely check yourself out now. Not in a mirror. You are your own cashier. And
Yes,
so there's always a lady there watching or a guy there watching. So she offered a little bit of assistance with a long piece of PVC. And I thanked her. And she looked at my shirt when that interaction happened. And she goes, hey, glasses. Do you have glasses? I said, I do, out in the truck. I said, do you want pink ones from our breast cancer campaign here in October? Cancer's not cool. Or do you want black ones? She goes, black ones. And I'm like, okay. So I said, I'll be right back. Oh, you don't have to. No, it's no problem. So 5 minutes later, I was back, but I only had pink sunglasses. So I apologized to Rachel, and I gave her a couple pair, and I said, I'm so sorry, but I have 1,000 pair back at the office. And she laughed. She said, 1,000. I said, no, I'm not kidding. I said, so I'm going to make my way back over there today. How long are you working? She said, till 1. So I had an hour and a half. So I had some things to do. I made it back at like 12:45, walked in the exit doors where she was standing, and it was somebody else. And hey, do you know where Rachel went? She goes, yeah, she's in all the way in lawn and garden, filling in for somebody who got sick. So I walked through the store and up to her there, checking somebody out. She goes, oh my God, you found me and you remembered. Yeah. And I gave her a couple black pairs and pat her on the shoulder, and she gave me a little pat by. And so, not a customer or not a sale, but just a connection. And I think that's what the beauty of Tommy Cool is now, is the connection we have with the community.
Right. Okay. I mean, listen, that you hadn't shared that with me yet. That's actually really interesting. Here's the thing: is that did I ever recommend that you spend that much time with the people that ask for a pair of glasses? Have I ever recommended you go out of your way to drive back and forth 15 ways so that you and then walk through a store because it's not where you're like any of those recommendations happen out of my mouth?
No.
And here's the reason I never had to say it. If I didn't spend with you all that upfront time and get to learn who you were, and then come up with a strategy of highlighting the company's owner and make it the company culture. You telling that story, I'm not surprised. I'm impressed, but I'm not surprised because that's who you are. You are the humble, natured human being that I met, a year and a half ago now, that was able to impress me with, who they were. And then I just realized was that disconnect. Anyway, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. How has it been for the staff?
Yeah, I think it's great. The guys just loved I think the attention. I say that like it's playing into the ego. It does a little bit as it plays into mine. Let's not lie.
Sure.
It's for me. It's you said early on in the campaign. I think maybe one of the first things you did really rung true to me, and we haven't hit back on that in the campaign. But you said, introduce myself as Tommy Cool, and my mission was happiness. And I think that really nails me down Although I do make people unhappy at times. Just ask my wife. I can say that out loud because the door's closed. Mostly her.
Oh,
I
I make my wife
disappoint,
upset all the time. Yeah.
but not intentionally. If I forget to take the trash out and we just boil shrimp, that's a problem, my friend. And I deserve the trouble that I've earned there. But in general, like Rachel in the store, it was super out of my way. I mean, I was picking up the brochures from my dad. There were all these other things going on, but this lady wanted something and I had something freely to give her. And I did go out of my way with no remorse or, you know, worry about that.
Expectation,
No,
nothing.
because to see her light up, to get not just the pink pair, but then I came all the way back. I could have been like, she said, you couldn't, I could have just been like, she's got the pink. She'll be fine. But that wouldn't ring true with who I am. And I don't want to say the level of service, the level of care that I have. I enjoy seeing a gleam in somebody's eye because they're happy,
Right.
especially my wife. But
Yeah.
it was nice seeing that in Rachel. And I don't think she'll forget it. That's not why I did it, because that's not who I
Right.
am, because of what I might
Right.
get back. But, and that impressed me too when we went to the Wizard of Ads Academy, that, that freeness of giving. Like there's all these whiskeys and that wine cellar down there is yours. Just take a bottle home if you want, take it back to the room, like whatever you want. That spirit of openly giving makes somebody, it made me a donor. It makes somebody want to give back to you. And in business, that can be valuable down the road for growth, for customer acquisition, for securing a customer, keeping a customer.
I can't even tell you how awesome it is I mean, it is naturally you, but the idea of living in abundance opens up a lot of options for people. You don't have to have a lot, but living open and capable changes drastically. I remember my first trip to the academy and feeling the exact same thing, like, holy crap, all this is just here. There's no policing of things. You have to have tokens to get this and take the, it's just, if it's
And
here, it's yours. If not, and you kind of blows your mind a little bit. Uh, I have, I have kind of one last thought here. If you could have done this whole journey of kind of putting yourself out in the world, and being the face of the company and really, embracing fame, which is my original question to you. Do you want to be famous? And you're like, I'm not too sure. Would you have done anything differently? Would you change anything?
at what point? When you guys asked me?
No, if you could go back and do this whole thing again, what would you do different?
You mean at the point when I met you guys or back 35 years ago?
You pick.
If we only knew then what we know now, uh, yeah, I'd have been a terror in high school. Instead of the instead of the awkward geek, if but in reality, 35 years ago, if I'd have started marketing and advertising, probably would have seen some success, but maybe not built a relationship like I'm beginning to build with this Corpus Christi community now, with your unique approach, which just suits me to a T. It's relationship, building a relationship. That's what we're doing with the community, because we're not advertising to sell. So that just sits right with me anyway. So no, I think if I'd known, if I'd have heard Ryan years earlier, well, I could have got a jump start on this. So
Right. If you had seen a different approach
you guys
a long
work on
time
that.
ago,
Get out there.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and it's kind of weird, right? I mean, it's people have a hard time. Salespeople used to use a lot of tricks, and I say tricks, but like techniques to try and convince people. I mean, you used to use it. It's get to know them, bring them in, make them feel a personal connection to you, and then it's easier for you to close the business. All you've done is say to Corpus Christi, "Hey, listen, this is who I am, and I want to serve, I want to take care of the community, and this is who I am." Not once have you run a sale, not once have you discounted your product, not once have you, done, hey, buy now, or, this price is gone forever. All those kind of really hokey ways to get people to buy in the moment. You don't use those in closing techniques anymore. What you've done, if we're honest, is you've built trust with your community that you're going to be there, right? You're on the radio every month. You don't miss, right? You give a message of hope and transcendence and community driven and love. And that's what they've come to expect when they see you. dude, it blows my mind that, this lady, it's Rachel, right? Rachel gets these glasses, and you didn't let her down. And
Hmm.
you've become this community enigma where it's, oh yeah, I'll get you some glasses the next time I'm around. You're like, no, I'll go get them right now. Just give me, I got a couple things I got to do, but I'll come back. And if she ever hears somebody say, oh my gosh, my air conditioning's not working, what is she going to say now? Well,
Yeah.
I know Tommy Cool will always show up because he did for me, and you didn't show up in the way that, people are expecting. You showed up because she's a human who noticed you, and you made a promise to the world at one point that if they saw you, ask for glasses, and you'd make sure that they got a pair.
Yeah. Now, and that being said, she works for Lowe's, who sells air conditioners, one of my competitors. I don't know who's doing Lowe's now, but I'd be shocked if she recommended. On the sales floor, she'd have to do something else. Maybe under her breath, she would say, "Yeah, you could call us out."
Could you imagine? No, but and you're right. That there's those incentive Home Depot has one, Lowe's has an
Yeah,
incentive program where they get another like a somebody like you to install it. They run the pricing, they do the sale, they hold the warranties and the transactions. But yeah, but this is a human that now is like, man, I'm actually torn. Like, I know we'll take care of the people, but man, Tommy took care of me. So really cool. That's interesting. Okay, well, listen, I want to say thanks again. I really appreciate you spending some time with me, kind of, talking about the journey here, what it's done for you. A couple of highlights for me is, since we started working with you, since we started on air, you've seen a 25% lift, which let's say is a 15% lift over what maybe organically, naturally you were going to get on your own, right? The the messaging has created fans of Tommy Cool, and you are now, you can't go anywhere. It sounds like almost anywhere where you're not recognized in one fashion or another. And even your haters will buy from you.
yeah. That's if I have the shirt on, because they don't know what I look like until they read the shirt and then ask. And one other thing I really appreciate that you guys did, Matt, because I know you're wrapping up, is the vulnerability part of this campaign. Like when you approached me and said, "Hey, from the rattlesnake bite, can we're going to highlight that missing finger." And I was like, inside, this is a hand I've hid for the last 10 years, happened in 2014. It's something I'm ashamed of. I'm not proud of. Somebody once said, "You're going to be proud of that one day." Jeez, I don't think so. It's horrible. It's a horrible tragedy what happened, right? But exposing that vulnerability to clients, they realize, because they have weaknesses, shortcomings, faults also. And so this message of unspoken message of acceptance, I think, is big people. So I appreciate that, because that taught me a lesson in, hey, quit hiding the thing. Maybe not, be proud of it, but I openly talk about it now. People meet me and ask about it. They're twisting my hand when I shake to get a good look. And it's not something I can run away from anymore. So
Man,
anyway,
that's okay. And you've not told me that way. That's so, thank you. I mean, like, that's incredible. Listen, vulnerability is one of the fastest way to build trust, no matter what it is. I mean, listen, it's not the only way we've done vulnerability, right? I mean, we've talked about, I mean, even the ad, unfortunately, your dad passed away, and we let the community know that your dad passed away, because we've also talked about your dad as an inspiration to you, and what's kind of, he was a big reason for you, being who you are and taking care of the community the way you do. You watched him do the same thing. So all those things come to pass, and we can't do anything. Listen, I can't go to that rattlesnake and get him to give you back your finger. I can't,
yeah,
help you with your dad at this point, but I can acknowledge it.
yeah,
And if we acknowledge it, we take away the power of the negative of it, and we just live within it, and it helps us to grow. And when we share that, people are like, yeah, man, I remember when my dad passed, right? It lets them then deal with that or bring it back up. And we're like, yeah, I remember he did this really cool thing. And we bond and become closer when we do these things, and it's in it the power of vulnerability, and you've really leaned into it. I mean, what we wrote an ad. You allowed me to write an ad for you and put on air where we talk about getting, hey, listen, so if you see me get, ask me for a high four, right? We
right.
we joke around about the fact that the finger's not there, and those, we'll be bringing those messages back, and um
what I think
Anyway,
I think the unheard message that I hear is from people is they understand because I'm broken too. They're broken. We're all broken in some way. And so it's just this level of credibility and a common ground with people, because this is one of the ways that I'm broken, but people acknowledging that is, people accept that. So anyway, I appreciate you exposing my fears there, and it's working. Let's keep doing it.
all right. Well, I mean, I think that's the best way to end this. Absolutely. And Tommy, I really appreciate you, you agreeing to just have this conversation with me. I think the last thing I would ask is if somebody said, you know, should should you work with the Wizard of Ads, what would you say?
But you better do it before they fill up.
Awesome. All right, man. I appreciate you. Let's keep rocking and rolling, and I will see you next week.
Yep. Send me the details.
All right.
Trying to talk my
Appreciate you,
wife
man.
into it. Thanks, Matt.
Okay.
All
Talk
right.
soon.
See you, brother.
Bye.
Bye.